Good afternoon, everybody. It's Tuesday, October the 7th at 5 o'clock. We're sitting for Committee of the Whole in Council Chambers in Westport, and we'll call this meeting to order.
We're guests on the shared traditional land of the Haudenosaunee, Wendat, and Anishinaabe people, where they built their home and raised their families. We appreciate these lands for the food, water, air, plants, trees, and medicines they give us. We value the land by swimming and boating, working, camping, and exploring the forests. We promise to take care of this land by not littering or wasting water, composting, recycling, planting trees and flowers, not idling our cars, and saving energy.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cardy. That item number 3 is the adoption of the agenda. It's moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Crapper, that the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting held on October 7th, 2025 be adopted as presented. Any comments? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest tonight? All right, well, that moves us to item number 5. And so we're happy to have the OPP here tonight as a delegation. And we have Detachment Commander Brian Jones. Did I ever tell you, Brian, my brother's name is Brian Jones? Like, I will never forget your name, right? Detachment Commander Brian Jones, Staff Sergeant Jennifer Coles. Can't say the same familial thing with you. Please come forward. We look forward to your presentation.
Thanks very much, and good afternoon, and thank you very much for having us here today. My name is Brian Jones, and I'm the interim detachment commander at Leeds County in Brockville. And acting Staff Sergeant Jen Coles is here with me tonight. So what we have done is we've just compiled a quick snapshot of policing activity that's happened here in Westport from January to date. So if I could, I would just like to go through that quickly, and I have a small period afterwards.
Of course, you've met Councillor Card before. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, because each community has, is part of a police services board, each detachment, and Councillor Card, for the public as well, is our representative on the OPP detachment.
So I have just returned. I've been away for the entire summer on a separate detail. So I've been a part of a couple of the meetings as they first started to roll out, and I look forward to getting to know everybody else as we move forward.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's changing times for sure. So if I could, I'd just like to go through the breakdown that I have here, and it will give you some oversight of what's going on. So what I've done is I've broken our basic calls for service down into 7 different categories. And first I will start off with our calls for service, which involve our MCERT team, or our mobile crisis response team, which is a very important part of our team at Leeds. If you're not familiar with it, it's an OPP member who is teamed up with a nurse or a social worker, and they respond primarily to mental health related calls and addiction related calls. So as you can imagine, it's quite busy for those 2 members. They're always out in the community, whether it's here or elsewhere. But so we had a total of 76 mental health related calls in the community between January and now. 15 of those were related to attempt or threats of suicide. 10 of those were person well-being checks. So whether that's concerned citizen or a family member asking us to check on their loved one. 8 involved family disputes. 7 were mental health related calls. And as you know, or as you should see here, that it's a significant part of the pie for calls within the community here, as is everywhere. It's not just specific to this community. Our crime trends, our violent crimes have gone up. 166%, which is a big number. However, when you look at the small number of calls, it's based off that. So to put it into proportion, we've gone from 3 calls in 2024 to 8 calls this year, which is, if you crunch the numbers, it does seem like it's a huge increase, but the small numbers magnify those percentages. So, relatively speaking, not a whole lot of change. I mean, there's some difference there, but definitely something that is not causing any kind of alarm. For our mental health act occurrences, now these are separate from MCERT, so these may be calls where MCERT was not engaged. We have had a total of 16 occurrences thus far. 10 of those again are related to suicide attempts or threats of suicide, 4 family disputes, 1 well-being check. And this trend obviously has steadily increased over the past 3 years from 2023, excuse me, where we had 8, and right now this year we're standing at 16. So again, a trend that's moving upwards, but not something that is specific to Westport itself. It's everywhere. Motor vehicle collisions. So 2025 year to date, we've had 0 fatals in Westport. We have had 1 injury collision, 5 property damage collisions, and overall, our collisions here in Westport are down 25% from 2024. So our focus remains, speed in the village, stop sign compliance, and seasonal traffic. I know it's quite busy here in the summer. I do see on my way in here today that there are some traffic calming measures that have been put into place, and you have to excuse me, I don't know when they were put into place, but it's nice to see those. And they absolutely do make a difference in town.
I think we've had them for 3 years, Peter, 4. This is our manager of public works.
For 3 for sure, 4 possibly, right?
Yeah, but a lot of grumbling when they first went in. We've adjusted where they're located in the road a little bit to address some of the grumbling. But by and large, we found that was such a long stretch of road that it needed some support.
And I know communities around the area have been turning to those measures. Brockville, they've implemented a bunch.
Yeah.
As well, and I know just personally, like, it slows you down. You can see those posts coming. So our clearance rates, which are in relation to incidents, so our violent crime clearance rate, we're sitting at 37.5%, which is it's not great. However, we are working on improving those clearance rates. Now, there's a number of factors that come into play, depending on what's involved with the investigation. Property crimes, for example, it can be very difficult to even find victims when we come across stolen property, to trace that back to who actually owns it. We've had incidents where we recovered brand new stolen property and we cannot trace it back to who owns it. So those incidents remain unclear because we can't close them. So we are putting added emphasis on property investigations. They are, like I said, they can be a challenge, especially when you're looking at small items like power tools, chainsaws. They sell so fast, they disappear, they change hands, and identifiers are removed from them very easily. So it does still remain a challenge, but I can assure you we're working the best we can at it. We have a vault full of equipment at the office, which we've seized from different investigations, and it does prove to be difficult to trace that back. Sometimes we have to return property that we've seized during incidents. It's just the way it goes. Like if we can't determine who the owner is and the person we seize it from has made application to have it returned, sometimes we have to do that. Our community engagement. So I'll start with rides. So rides this year so far we're at 5 as compared to 10 last year, but we are starting to enter that ride season where we typically hear of festive rides happening. So there will be a focus in the community on that coming up. Our patrol hours, our cruiser patrol hours that are 105 hours thus far, 19 foot patrol hours throughout the village. And those are in relation to general foot patrol, event patrol, 19 hours of victim service referrals. We have had 16 in town. Out of those 16, only 3 people have accepted. So it's an option, obviously, when we're talking to victims, if they want the services, we offer it to them. And it's yes or no. So if anything, we can encourage more people to take those services that are available to them because they are great services. And a lot of the time when they accept them, it's not until then that they realize how beneficial those services are. And sometimes people are in need and they don't realize what's available. And this is a way that we can encourage people to understand what's out there and to get them the help that they need as well. So that's
I'm just, sorry, I was just,
Okay.
lip reading. I'd be interested what those services are, just a snapshot of what sorts of services you're referring to.
well, there's a variety of services. So whether it's addiction services, whether it's social housing services.
Oh, that you can connect people to the grades of
Absolutely.
services. Okay, I thought these were offered by through the police service. I
You
guess.
know, like we can refer people.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so. So that's a very quick snapshot of where we stand right now. So if there's any questions.
Sure, thank you. Didn't mean to drop my pen there. I actually said sorry because I dropped my pen so loud. Questions, team? Go ahead,
Just a
Councilor.
comment, over the summer, I've noticed, the foot patrols and they're very much stand out. Councillor Aragona had it as an event, not as a councillor, and it was well attended by OPP and great people to talk to and mingle with the crowd, made a lot of connections and it was certainly a good presence in the village.
Good, that's very nice to hear, and I actually heard some comments from this lady in the gallery as we were waiting, and it sounds like she had some good interaction with her officer, which is always good to hear. That's great to hear. I mean, we do have a crunch, well, I shouldn't say a crunch, but we have our challenges with manpower as well. As everybody else does, but we are finding ways to get around those challenges, and we're trying to ensure that the coverage is provided that is needed. And it's nice to hear that you're seeing our members out in the community, because that's our goal, is to get them out there, get them involved, and high visibility, obviously, so.
The annual St. Patrick's Day Parade, you know,
Mm.
you guys are here every year. I did have a question though about the presentation first. I'm surprised at the MCERT numbers. I would say I'm shocked and concerned at the MCERT numbers, not questioning you, just
The high numbers,
yeah,
and
that, and then those, and then the other, the MHA numbers of the mental health occurrences, 16 on top of the MCERT, that's, I'm
it's,
surprised, commentary.
it's high.
Yeah,
But it's high everywhere. It
Yeah.
really is. And I'm sure you understand, but one person sometimes
Mhm.
can really,
Signals.
really skew those numbers.
Yeah,
I mean, if we keep getting call after call after call after call with the same person.
but I think it's important, and that may be, or maybe you're giving us a wink, wink, nod, nod, that that's the case here, but it's important that you tell those numbers and you say them out loud for all the people, like people in the room, the community members, the other support organizations, because there's this belief sometimes by many with rose-colored glasses on. And that really gets in the way of supporting things like the food bank and the work that the Lions and other organizations do. So I'm shocked, but I was pleased to hear them out loud. Councillor Cardy, go
Well,
ahead.
just as a follow-up, do you happen to have the number of how many recurring, like out of the 76, like were there 3 people that were used 20?
I don't have that number, but without getting into too much specifics, there has been some recurring calls here that may have influenced those numbers. Not to say, 76 by any means, but it happens quite often. And again, it's not something that's specific to Westport. It's everywhere. These numbers are going through the roof. And I don't know how we did it, before we had our dedicated answer officer and our social worker or our nurse that goes with them. I mean, we could have 3, 4 of them, and still keep them all busy, like it's.
Okay, Councillor Craft.
What about access to both children's and adult mental health services? You found improvements in that, or has it continued to become, is it a barrier?
No, actually, with our MCERT officer and our, social worker, they have access to all those resources, especially, our social worker. She, is from the area. She's from Rockville General Hospital, and she has access to their system. She has access to all the resources. It's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely fantastic. Because as an officer, I mean, I know those resources are there, but where I go to actually get a specific resource for someone may take me a lot longer to figure out than her. She basically goes in and picks up the phone and she's in contact with whoever she needs to right away. And she works right out of our office, right directly with our members. So
That's terrific.
it is fantastic, yeah.
Anybody, anything else? Councillor Aragona, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Inspector, staff, thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome anytime.
Well, and anytime, if you need, anybody needs to reach out, please do.
Thank you.
We will, certainly be happy to get you what you need.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, well, safe road.
you.
Watch the deer on the way home. Alrighty, so that brings us to, there's no that. So that brings us to item number 6, which are the briefing notes. The first one is the briefing note in relation to the West Porch event. And the motion is moved by Councillor Cropper, seconded by Councillor Card, that the committee of the whole receive the report entitled Administration Westport Event Debrief. And that the committee of the whole recommend that council direct staff to work together with the Westport Planning Committee on requirements for public safety for future Westport events. Open that up for discussion. Councillor Carney, then Councillor Aragona.
Sure, I think everyone around this table would agree that it's an amazing event. And thank you to the volunteers. It is a great event for the community, for the businesses, for people that come to our village. So for all of their hard work, I don't think any of us would say that we just really appreciate it and we thank you. I think I'm coming from a spot that I would like it to be maybe just a little safer. And I'm not sure how that is. And I think in moving forward, I think there might be some bad blood. I'm not sure, but I want to work together to keep making it a successful, positive event for everybody. And I would love to see personally, spring and church clothes, and I'm not sure how we can go about getting that done, but I think I'd like to work together and, help you guys in any way we can to make it successful and safe.
Thank you, Councillor Carney. Councillor Aragona.
I just want to add to what Councillor Cardy said. I think we're on the same wavelength. I think this is a great event. It draws a lot of people into the village. It's great for tourism. It's great for economic development. It's We've got a great future ahead of it. But I do think that, there needs to be a conversation about public safety. The first year that I, really enjoyed it was 2024. I had guests in from out of town. They loved it. They came back this year. But the one thing that was said to me in 2024 was there seemed to be a lot of traffic and pedestrians mingling. So I think the important thing for me is to ensure that the public is safe. And in order for the event to be a success, the public should be safe. We shouldn't create a situation where the public doesn't feel like they can walk around freely. So I think road closures are probably the easiest way to do that. This isn't, this isn't difficult. Larger communities do this. The Montreal Jazz Festival shuts down all of the main street there in the downtown, and people walk around freely. So we should be able to do this. I do want to comment on some of the extraneous conversations that have been happening. There has been a lot going back and forth. I think it's time for us just to stop and move forward rather than look backward. I think we need to just have a conversation. There needs to be conversation with town hall and the committee in order for the public to be safe and also for the event to be a success.
Great. Councillor Crawford, then Councillor Carr.
I wanted to remind ourselves that last year at this time, our big concern was the after hours event. And I think it was surprising to everybody what the size of that event and what the impact of the roadways were. And to the credit of the committee, that part of the event was changed completely without our involvement. And we recently, talked about that, went, wow, that's great. Sort of took a lot of pressure off and made us feel a lot better about the situation. I think it's fair to say everybody involved was surprised at the number of people on the street at the after hours. Then this year, I think the success of last year's resulted in a lot more people in the regular hours. And where we're at now is just like last year, going, wow, okay, let's try and be proactive and figure out what, with the growing event, inevitably going to continue to grow, we can do. And I would add that in a perfect world, what we would be doing is not, as Councillor Aragona says, be reactive and thinking about the past, but thinking about the future. A suggestion from me is that we, look at some form of committee that is where, similar to what I do with the library. I am on the library. Currently, the library is not a committee of council, and I'm there as a person who, when there's a question, a struggle, really something that my role can get information that's clear about to reduce the amount of guessing. And I'd say that's where what I see in a lot of the written stuff is that we're guessing about intention rather than checking in directly with people about what, what are the actual feelings, what's the agenda, what isn't the agenda. So a thought just to put on the table is that there is some kind of a structure in place so that rather than after the fact, second guessing intentions, we can have a venue for getting factual information quickly, whatever that looks like.
Thanks, Councillor Crawford. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, the contrast with Councillor Crapper's comments, I think Westport moved away from the committee structure a few years ago, much to the benefit of any committees at the time that existed. Blooms, FODA are two come to mind, flourishing now, no involvement with the village. I don't see anything insurmountable here. We already have two organized bodies, as I understand it. We have a council and we have an organizational committee. I think it's just a matter of, even if it's a one-on-one representation, sit down together, work out first what everybody thinks our differences are. There are certain facts that can't be denied. I mean, there were people on the street. Okay, there were people on the street. How do we fix it? So I think it's just all common sense, not to mention the legalities of it. Certainly the organizational committee has some responsibilities. The people that have the venues have some responsibilities, and the village has some responsibilities. I see it as just like any other negotiation. You sit down, you work it out to everybody's satisfaction. There'll be some give and take, but there's some things that can't be denied. I mean, people on the street, you can't deny it. If there was a problem, okay, who's responsible? The law says the organizational committee is primarily the responsible party, and next would be if it was on my lawn, I'd be the next in line. And if nobody is going along with that, then the village would be responsible, and that gets into places nobody wants to go, because once you get into the legalities of anything, it's never fun, it's never cheap, and it's never clean. It's always a mess. So I think how you do it, who represents who, sit down, work it out. It's that simple.
Okay, so the motion is that the staff have put forward is that staff work with planning committee. That's where it's at, and to me, it feels like a staff job, not a politician's job. So just wanted to remind you, because you strayed a little bit from the motion, wanted to remind you, the motion is staff and the organizing committee meet. And the other thing is, this is the fourth year of our term. So to stick a counselor in there now, and I agree with you, Barry, Councillor Gard, we tried this, it didn't work, but just going on Councillor Crapper's point, and then there's an election. So the constant is staff. The constant have access to legal if they need it. So that's why the motion was written by staff. I'm gonna come here and then there. Councillor Argon and then Councillor Crapper.
Just two comments. Well, first comment on what Councillor Carter said. The fact that this event is a success, I just want to point out, is because people can walk on the street and they can walk back and forth between venues. That's why it's a success. If we did it any other way, I don't think we would get the kind of crowds that we're getting into the village. So I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that this event exists because people can do that. So public safety needs to be part of that conversation. The second comment I want
Can
to.
I just jump in there?
Yep.
And I think that's why Councillor Card is saying, don't make it a committee. Because as soon as the village is represented, then there's all the rules that come with it that have made other groups just crazy. So I don't think anybody disagrees with you. And I know I'm one that's sitting with Councillor Card, don't make this, pardon me, any sort of formal thing with council. Leave it with staff, and then things should work out a whole lot easier. Didn't mean to interrupt, but I didn't want to lose that point.
No, I think we were going in the same direction. I think that while it may not be appropriate for a politician to be inserted in the middle of this conversation, it would be appropriate for council to provide direct input into what it expects from the conversations between staff and the committee. That's what I would suggest, is that we get very specific about what we expect as a council.
But you'd be willing to let this play out and the report come back from staff once they and the planning committee have met and come to an agreement?
If we can structure that process a little bit more than
Just this?
Yes.
Okay, and so with that, do you want to do that tonight, or do you want to do that between now and council and tighten that up for council?
I think we can tighten it up for council, but
Okay.
I'd like to see some things along the line of a timeline within which the conversation is going to take place. What staff will be presenting and what council expects from that conversation, for staff to bring to that table.
Okay, let's finish the discussion, because it may be, in your clerk role, madam, that we defer this for 1 month and build that list. I'd rather have some consultation on that list before with the organization committee. So I hear you, let's put a little more structure to it. But before it comes to us for a council agreement, then I think that the organizing committee should be consulted. If they don't agree, then we can have that debate, but at minimum. Because as I think Councilor Cardy said, there's some relationship issues here that if we don't get this right, we'll just continue to bubble up. So we may defer, but let's hear what everybody else has got to say. So I've got Councilor Cropper next.
Yeah, so I totally agree. It's about relationship and building a relationship and a point person to make it easy. Just to clarify on Councillor Card's, I'm not talking about a committee of council. The library's model is a different model where I'm not there as it's not a committee of council. It's been exceedingly helpful because my flexibility of being able to come back here, bounce things off, and sometimes so that staff don't have to be at the meetings like has happened in the past. So I don't care really who does it, honestly, but somebody to be the point person, the relationship builder with the committee. so that they've got a view on what it is that is what the objectives are. You don't like that idea somehow?
Well, I just don't think that you've got the right of it. You're there as council's representative on a board
Mhm.
that's governed by other legislation.
Right,
So I don't just see, not to get into the weeds.
Right.
But I just wanted to kind of put a period on that. Your interpretation of the authority that you have on that board
Mhm.
is somewhat different than,
yeah. It's not a committee of council, that's all I'm
no,
saying.
because it's a separate board.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're good? I mean, can I go to the next speaker?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. Counselor Card and then Cardy.
Yeah, to follow up, having sat on probably 3 or 4 committees, I found that committee members usually look to that council member for things that they can't provide at the time. I mean, it's just an extra step in the process where a formal committee can have a delegation just about any time they need one with council. They can meet with staff at request, I would imagine. But I have found that it just puts an extra step in the process. So you get 2 or 3 members on the committee want an answer to a question, which a councillor has maybe doesn't have the information, but doesn't have the authority to speak for the whole council to start with. So you can't give a real definitive answer. You just have to kind of carry the ball. Whereas I think that an organized meeting between 2 different groups, they can work all that out. You don't need somebody in the middle. I understand Councillor Crapper's unique position sitting on a board, and I agree with you, Mayor Jones, that a board is not a committee. It needs some representation from council because it is a board, and there's other legislation that ties the library board to the village proper. So like I said, I don't think this is a real complicated thing. I think it's all about, as everybody said, building a relationship. And lots of them start out rough, but this isn't something that everybody else doesn't do. Every municipality does this, they work around it. And I don't think council has any inclination to dampen the project. I think there are some things that have to be done, and council has a responsibility to see that it happens. So let's get on with it.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have one more speaker, then I'm gonna come back to Counselor Aragona. Go ahead, Counselor Card.
No, just as a follow-up from Councillor Card, I think if we know, what the wish list is for this committee, what is your top 3
Sure.
things we'd like to hear from them that we could maybe help them do or not do, but what is their essential wish list, right? What are something they would like from the village, in support, and maybe we can help them, maybe we can't, but if we know what they desire from us, and then they know what we desire from them, then maybe we can move forward and, have the event continue successfully without canceling being part of it.
Well, I like that last part, the best. All right, so Counselor Aragona, your suggestion's still on the table to provide direction to staff on what we would expect to come back in an agreement with the organizing committee. And you're gonna add some suggestions here. Before it goes to council, staff will meet with the group to make sure that we're not building the plan, but we're not putting something on our list that just won't work. So it's not that we don't want it, it's when your boots on the ground the way they are, if we say we want this, and they'll just say like, we just can't do that for these reasons. I don't want our list going to council and then them saying it's not workable. So if you've got a few things that you want to add now, or we can defer this for a month, come back in November and build the list. Is that more comfortable for you?
I
Because
think
there's not pressure
Yeah.
to do this tonight. We certainly got some flexibility.
I think it would be better if we do defer it.
Okay.
And so all of council then can have some thoughts on
Okay.
what should be part of that conversation.
Okay,
But I do think that what Councillor Cardy said is key. What is the village willing to contribute to this event?
great.
What is the village willing to do in order to make the event a success? Council should at least
Correct.
provide that direction to staff before the conversation takes place.
Agreed. Because some of the things you might want to do are beyond our control. We may need a legal opinion, or we may need a legal opinion on the risk that you're assuming. Okay, so you're gonna move a deferral then? Has everybody talked it out for tonight? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, just going back to Councillor Aragona's point there, I think we should have a timeline, like,
And that's gonna come we're gonna build our list over the month and it's gonna come to next committee of the whole.
so that's definitive. We'll discuss it the
Yeah,
next.
that's, he's gonna put that motion on to defer it until next month.
Because I think that's long enough to defer it. one month.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else wanna weigh in tonight or hold your comments until next month? So you're gonna move a deferral?
I move to defer this to the next committee of the whole meeting in November.
And you're nodding your head, yes, ma'am? Anybody wanna weigh in on the deferral? Okay, so I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. All right, so we'll pick that up next month and we'll have the opportunity to take it slow. Make sure those that should be included are included in the discussion. And when we get to this, it may be a couple of months before we get to it, but hopefully we won't have the angst that we had. I don't mean, I mean angst that people are feeling angry, they're not being heard, both on the village side and on the organizer side. All right, so that was 6.1. We will move on to 6.2, which is Public Works. And the recommendation is moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Crapper, that the committee of the whole receive the report of the manager of Public Works entitled Public Works Gazebo Roof for Information Purposes. Any comments or questions on getting that roof done? Councillor Card.
Yeah, I commented about when it was first mentioned about the cost. I took another look at it and went down and looked at the gazebo. It's 60% labor and 40% material. There isn't a whole sheet of metal in the whole roof, so I can see the
Okay,
necessity for the cost.
all right. Anybody, anything else? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Perfect. 6.3 is Public Works, is the RVCA agreement. Septic system compliance inspections, and it's moved by Councillor Crapper, seconded by Councillor Card. That the committee of the whole received a report entitled Public Works RVCA Agreement, Septic Systems Compliance Inspections. And that the committee of the whole recommend that council direct staff to enter into an agreement with the RVCA to provide compliance inspections for the village septic inspection program. Good, we'd like to see this. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Card.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I just have a question, as I am one of the septic users. So is this just for people that have not been compliant, is that correct? Or will it be for every person with a septic tank?
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so this is just that final getting agreement, so the extras will go in for the ones that have not
Right.
Submitted reports.
Okay, that's a good clarity to
Yeah.
put out into the public on the video. So it's for those people who have not yet taken up the challenge. It'll be RVCA that they're taking the challenge up with. Okay, is that right, Peter?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Councillor Cropper?
So to expand on that thought then for new ones, so in when mine, I happen to be another person, in 5 years comes due, will that be our local, I had Garter do mine, for example. Is that, then we'll still be doing it with the same partners that we had before, RCBA won't be doing the next round, or will it be doing the next round?
Go ahead.
Through your worship, so they're only doing the compliance inspections if homeowners submit a acceptable inspection on behalf, restarts the block every 5 years. No actions required by the village or RVC.
The reason I ask that is because there's a cost involved that's beyond that, to get, because what I get confused with this is you do have to do a pump out to do an inspection of the apples. Yeah, this
Okay.
doesn't include a pump out cost, it's, well,
Okay, it's to approve RVCA to do the compliance inspections, not the other details of getting the pump outs.
yeah, I know, I'm wondering if this document with the numbers in it is, it doesn't include pump out costs. They would have to do, am I correct in saying they would have to do a pump out in order to do the compliance inspection?
Go ahead, Peter.
So through your worship, so part of getting RVC to do those inspections is because we don't have that knowledge in-house to do septic inspections. So whatever is required to bring a non-compliant property into compliance is being agreed to be provided through this RVC program. Now, they do this program for a number of neighboring municipalities and have for a number of years, so I can't answer the question whether specifically a pump out's required every time, but I know that they have the experience there.
Sure.
Councillor Rickman.
I'm gonna ask an obvious question only because I need to hear the answer through you, Madam Mayor, to Manager of Public Works, Peter. How have the owners of the 12 properties that are not in compliance been informed, communicated with about what they need to do every 5 years? Has this been something that's been done, and how has that been done?
Go ahead.
So through your worship, I want to say that they've received 4 letters, each escalating on the requirements and outlining where is the requirements and then the penalties from the bylaw for non-compliance.
Anybody done anything else? Councillor Carter?
have we, followed up with any of these and have there been any fines issued and are we actually enforcing this, bylaw or are we just kicking the can down the street?
Go ahead.
So your worship, so this is the actual act of getting someone to go in and do that compliance inspection, because staff doesn't have the expertise. So when we have a non-compliant property, the septic system could be perfect or it could be in poor shape. We need the RDC inspectors to go in and make that determination. Now, once that determination that will bring them into compliance for the 5 years, should the septic system pass. Should that septic system not pass, it's not actually the village bylaws that kick in, it's the building code that kicks in that way.
So that doesn't really answer my question. My question is, are we enforcing this or not? So if you remain not, you just don't answer any one of the 4 letters, and maybe the next 4, what happens?
Go ahead.
So this is what happens. So if you don't get yours inspected, the village goes in. Now, we needed a qualified person to go in and make that inspection. That's this. Is this group gonna go in and do that inspection?
So up until this point, we've not said we're gonna do the inspections. This puts those people in place. So for the 12 people who have not complied yet, this is maybe their last verbal instruction that RBCA will be in doing compliant inspections on their systems soon.
So the follow-up is that we are sending our BCA.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
that answers
okay.
my question.
Okay, good. Everybody else okay?
Yeah.
All right, then I'll call the question on this. All in favor? Thank you. 6.4 is Recreation WTC Communication Center Vending Machine. Moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Crapper, that the committee of the whole receive the report entitled Recreation WTC Communication Center Vending Machine for Information Purposes. Mr. Chisholmore is here if you want to ask him any question on what's going to be in the vending machine. Go ahead, Councillor Cardy.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I was just curious as to how long the trial period is gonna be for?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. So if we were to order it today, we wouldn't get it for probably about 8 weeks. It's just the nature of vending machine company, I guess. So the trial period probably won't get going until close to Christmas and will only then be in place for the rest of the hockey season. They may choose to keep it in over the off season when the ice goes out and see how that goes. So the trial period, unfortunately, is a short one. But hopefully it will give us enough of a snapshot or a picture to see whether this is viable or not.
Anybody else? Councillor Card and then Councillor Eric.
Yeah, so in a brief conversation I had with Mr. Chisholmore, it was my understanding that this is strictly convenience. There's no profit for the village to take. It's a convenience for the patrons of the arena for times when the canteen's not open.
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Public Works, just following up on Councillor Card's question, so sometimes these things are placed with a commission paid back to the property owner. Has the village explored that possibility, and if it has, why has that been discounted?
You, Madam Mayor. Yeah, we did speak about that and we would look to do that if the trial period is successful and the vending machine company decides that they would like to pursue this in a long-term contract, then we would definitely want to charge for example, a rental fee or something like that.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Anybody, anything else? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Very good. So we do have a resolution here in relation to the OPP. It's down here on 7.1. So it's moved by Councillor Crapper, seconded by Councillor Card, that the committee of the whole received the OPP detachment for 2025 annual update. Any other discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Good. Any notices of motion from anyone today? Any announcements? Councillor Cracker?
I just wanted to say that the Orange Shirt Day event was held last week on Tuesday in Lockwood Field, and it was really, again, a nice event to attend. I want to thank the Better Together Circle group for pulling it together, but also the kids who came from the schools and the community members who were there. It's, we're a small town and we could be all going to Brockville or Perth or something for these events, but to be able to do it here and I think have a little bit of an impact on the way people think about First Nations and reconciliation and the issues that revolve around those areas is important to do locally. So I enjoyed being at it and I hope it's something that continues.
I agree, because it's easy to do nothing.
Mhm.
You know, it takes effort and focus to remember the day. And the orange T-shirts are a visible reminder. I was giving a presentation at a conference in Collingwood. They were home builders Association. And I bet 15, maybe 20% of the people had orange shirts. Some of the women had orange blazers on, but it was intentional. To your
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
that it's really important. Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up. Councillor Kerr.
Yeah, I should mention that FOTA had their annual draw last weekend at the hockey game, and again, a great success due to the volunteers that assisted the FOTA committee in selling tickets. And I won't try to mention the names, they're all listed on the FOTA webpage, but great to see a local council's next door neighbor was the winner of over $17,000. So
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of hard work for everybody, but it pulled it off again this year.
Yeah. And of all the tickets sold, it could have been anybody, but because Councillor Card and someone else were getting the container to the person who was gonna pull, which was a really smart idea on behalf of Councillor Card. He got the assistant coach of the visiting team to pull the winning ticket. It was really smart.
Mhm.
But what they couldn't hear, and the fellow and I were standing beside each other, the arena was packed that night, packed, and the din is loud, and they're not playing hockey now. So people are talking and they're going to get drinks. But when they saw these two dudes walking over with all the tickets, you could hear a pin drop. And when Tom announced the winner's name, it's just that extra little nicety that it was a local Westport person.
Was the winner there?
No,
Okay.
but
Not for 20 minutes.
Yeah, right.
I didn't ask how many phone calls she got to tell her that she won, but yeah, congratulations to you guys. Okay, questions from the public. If you got questions, please come up to the podium.
Paul Thorpe, on the organizing committees of Westport. Thank you for letting me come to the podium. I'm conflicted as to why we got here. It bothers me in ways that you can't imagine, as being on the receiving end of these letters from the CAO 2 years in a row is insulting. And my crossroad is, I'm listening to the counselors, well, just forget about it and move on, and let's move forward. This brief was penned without any consideration or talking to the committee itself. It refers to correspondence that no one has seen except for myself and the committee and maybe Madam Mayor. And I don't think it's reasonable to just say, okay, well, people, your feelings are hurt. It's not hurt. We're from a small village where everybody knows everybody. And you just come up if there's an issue and say, listen, we need to talk. Instead of sending out a derogatory, horrible email, letter last year, which really affected us as the hosts of the after party and not being on the organizing committee. And then this year, receiving multiple emails where we complied with what was asked of us. And yes, it was all based on last year, so we comply. We want to fully cooperate with the village moving forward. But you have to understand our positions, where it has been nothing but threats, penalization. The recommendation of this report is to work with the committee, and yet at the end, under financial restitution, you want to charge us $800 arbitrarily for a decision that the mayor made to close the street. We understand that there were people in the streets, and we had no idea that that many people were going to come. But I spoke with the bylaw committee or the bylaw officer that day and said, what's going on? well, the mayor has decided to close the street. Okay, that's your choice. We were not required to close it. Just all of a sudden, give up 16 weeks of our hard work and time to pay for this event, and then to hit us with another $800, it's not gonna happen.
Thank you, Paul.
I look forward to meeting with council. I would like to arrange a meeting to discuss this brief, because there are a number of grievances in this brief that need to be addressed to move forward. We want to keep everybody safe, but this needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, then we'll move to number 11, which is questions from the media. No? All right, we're gonna go into closed session now. So the motion is moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Crapper. The committee of the whole will proceed into closed session as permitted under the municipal act to consider personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees. Can't share what that is because it's about personnel, it is not about Westport. It seems to just fall after your item on the agenda. So we'll just take a second while we get the camera off and we give our guests an opportunity to leave. Okay, thank you very much. We're back in session here. As moved by Councillor Aragona, seconded by Councillor Cardy. The committee met in closed session to consider personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees, and council provided direction to staff. All in favor? Carried. And moved by Councillor Cardy, seconded by Councillor Aragona, that this meeting of the Committee of the Whole of the Village of Westport be adjourned at 6:10 PM. All in favor?